This program on NOTSTR8 TV is brought to you by Video Blocks. 7 days of free downloads, over 50,000 stock clips of video, backgrounds, music, and more. To get started, visit NOTSTR8.tv/video blocks. Sign up and get your 7 days of free downloads. NOTSTR8.tv/video blocks.
I would like, if I may, to take you on a strange journey.
Once upon a time, there was a little girl.
The accident was over a year ago. A second woman has been elected president. A 12th planet has been named in the solar system. The last wild polar bear has died. I slept through it all. Was here for my waking. He called it a beginning. He said it was good. I think he may have thought that anything I did was good.
Welcome to Transition Radio, live from Hollywood, Florida, with your host and hostess, Mark Angelo and Jessica Lynn Cummings. For trans folks, by trans folks, here to let your voice be heard. Hey guys, welcome back. It's been a week and we've missed you, but we're finally all moved in. As you can see, the surroundings are different. We just moved in around a week ago. I've been busy, madly busy, not just with the holidays. We're just trying to get the place together, a workout studio and this beautiful radio and TV studio just for you. We are very glad to be back.
Yes, we are.
We have a very special guest, which we'll tell you about in just a little bit. But first, we want to thank our sponsor,
TheBreastFormStore.com. They have everything you could possibly need for your transgender or cross-dressing needs. Visit their website and tell them Transition Radio sent you. We are giving away a pair of gold seal breast forms, compliments of TheBreastFormStore.com.
Send us an essay or a short video, not to exceed 4 minutes, telling us why you should be the winners of these girls. Well, today we have a very special guest, LeAnna Bradley, born Donald Darrell Alfred Bradley, who says that even at the young age of 3, she knew something wasn't right. She didn't address that something until years later when, at the age of 60, she had a sex change operation. LeAnna was molested by her own cousin at 8 years old and bullied throughout her life. At age 15, she joined the National Guard in hopes to man up and make her life better.
But things didn't get any better for Bradley. In fact, they took a turn for the worse. At age 19, while in Philadelphia, she was beaten and raped by 3 professional thugs, she says. I was left for dead at the Philadelphia airport. A woman found me and brought me into the hospital. LeAnna got married, and although she explains the marriage was a disaster, one good thing came out of it, her son. Right after the divorce, Bradley began exploring cross-dressing and looking into sex change information. I began to do research secretly, she says. Then Bradley was sent to Vietnam for the war for 31 months. When she came back, she began going to cross-dressing meetings and being more active in the community.
LeAnna has been a strong leader in our community, has been in films and documentaries. She started the first Transgender Day of Remembrance here in South Florida, in Fort Lauderdale. She has taught all about GLBT issue to over 9,000 students at Nova University, served on GLBT panels as an advisor, worked to help repel the Congress bully bill, the Matthew Shepard bill in Tallahassee, and much, much more.
Any veterans in the audience, if you would please stand, I would appreciate it. Thank you. Well, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and it is my deepest pleasure to be here in uniform representing all of our armed forces. I joined the military when I was 17 or 15 years old. I spent 2 years in the National Guard, then I spent 22 years on active duty, then I spent 10 years in the Fleet Reserve, and then I went on to teach kids as a Navy Sea Cadet officer for 7 years. So a total of 37 years of service. During that period of time, I never realized for the longest time what it meant about gay, lesbian, bisexual, or transgender. I thought the country always stood for love, honor, and courage, as it was the day I took the oath. As he said, justice for all and liberty for all. So every time we talk about our Pledge of Allegiance and all of this, we're talking about all. It has nothing to do with gender identity. It has nothing. But who gets the short end of the stick? Gay, lesbians, bisexual, and transgender people. I'm very fortunate. Sure, I got a lot of ribbons and I got a lot of medals. But the thing of it was, I spent 31 months in Vietnam, 2 Purple Hearts, and needless to say, I am still just as proud today. But the people in arms that stood right next to me that were gay, lesbian, bisexual, and transgender and lost their life in pursuit of this country and the happiness and the freedom of this country, I can truthfully say that they were my heroes. And so I am just one person. I have spoke to this country, and now I have the greatest opportunity in the world to speak as one for all. And that is exactly what this country stands for, one and one for all. It is all about liberty. It is all about the pursuit of happiness. It is all about what our Constitution stood for. I've taught over 10,000 people in the last 10 years about gay, lesbians, bisexual, and transgender rights. There's not one out of the 10 years that I taught that I had one bit of negativity. So needless to say, I can stand here very proudly as a lieutenant, ex-lieutenant of the United States Navy and the U.S. Navy Sea Cadet Corps that stands for our values in our country, in our liberty, in our pursuit of happiness. So if everybody needs to get behind this don't ask, don't tell. I personally don't like it. I personally don't, the way that people are doing in Congress and the President of the United States. It's about time that we took back what's rightfully ours. So I want to thank you so much for standing behind your veterans and all the gay, lesbians, and bisexual people. Thank you.
Fantastic. And here today to let her voice be heard is LeAnna Bradley. Welcome to our show, sweetie.
Hi. How's everybody?
We're doing great. How about yourself? It's an honor to have you on our show.
Well,
Yes,
I
it
am
is.
so proud to be here in honor of our veterans and for myself as a transition woman, and to be able to speak up for those people that some don't have the right to speak up themselves, and because of their families and whatnot don't understand. So it's a matter of just being able to listen and just set the right path, which is positive. And that's what I did over the years when I was a male, is that I had so much negativity that I didn't know which way to go and who to go to and what to do and when to do it and how to do it. And I turned all that stuff around.
Yeah, and it's amazing. I mean, I think since that video, the new Don't Ask, Don't Tell got taken away, and which is a great thing.
Absolutely.
I think with every passing day and the more and more we educate individuals, we change the hearts and minds. And like individuals like yourself and others that are in the front line trying to help educate are making a major difference.
Absolutely. The great thing about the Don't Ask, Don't Tell policy, since they overturned it, is that it's become so much easier for gay, lesbian, and bisexual and transgender people to be able to express themselves and to reach out to the community in a very quiet way so as not to upset anybody. Before, we didn't have that option. I had to do everything in secret, and I had to keep my total emotions pinned up inside. And even so much as up until I started down in Florida, I hadn't even thought about suicide. So thank goodness I've been able to turn all that around, and I am very, very happy now. And the community just, we get along great, and there's no repercussions, there's no bad words said, there's no, everything is just positive every day. So the only thing I have to do is to be able to help educate people and be able to reach out to them whenever they need it now that I'm so much older.
At least we no longer have to deal with the don't ask, don't tell that has been taken away. And I believe with time and the more education and the more and more visibility of the LGBT community, that people will start understanding to mind their business and let everybody lead their lives the way they feel fit.
Exactly.
Do you agree with that, LeAnna?
There is so much more open now because of the internet and because of transgender people. And it's not like when I first started teaching down in Florida, just not that long ago. And when the Don't Ask, Don't Tell was still going on. And there was just a total blockage of what people really wanted to hear from me. And I was really having a hard time getting the word out. And thank goodness there's some very good people and the professors at the colleges and universities and being able to talk to the lawyers and psychologists and all this. And I put together a PowerPoint program that I showed to everybody, and it really brought the whole thing to light. And the whole psychology program is so much deeper than how would you say it? So much deeper than just talking about it. So
definitely,
yeah.
So I went into emotions and the difference between positive and negative emotions, and that's what I learned, how to base the circle of life, put it all together. So it's really been a joy to be able to put all those things together for people. And I've had pilots, I've had doctors, I've had psychologists that I counseled, and P-Flight kids, and one of the great musicians that started down there in Fort Lauderdale. He started out when he was 9 years old, and I was teaching at the center, and it's just been a great joy to see him and others kids be able to grow. So
it's a matter of people, when they see something different, they fear it. So we slowly had to introduce things to people, and then they finally start catching on, and then they finally start to understand it and accept it. It's like everything. Every different group that has been ostracized since the beginning of time. In the beginning, it's like, what is this? It's different from us. They fear it, they hate it, they ridicule it. Then they start understanding, and things start to change. And I think that's part of the evolution of mankind. And I think humanity in general has a good heart. I think the programming that's been placed there has dampened their true essence. But I believe that as we grow spiritually, things will change for humanity, and there will no longer be differences in gender and color and race and creed and sexual preference. We will all be seen as one, and differences will be accepted. You know, that's the key with individuals like yourself. And
there's no way to stop hate. There's no way to stop the negativity that those people have. So the best way to get around that is to take your own life and be able to turn it into something very positive. And due to a lot of TV shows now and movies that are out now and different transgender programs that are out now, they didn't have all that when I was going through the military. And when I came out, in the early 80s. So it's just been since then that all this has been so much more positive. And of course, now that I'm older and happy and stuff like that, I just kind of let the younger kids like yourself and just kind of let them get the word out a lot better than I can. So it's your generation, it's your kids, it's your parents' kids to be able to get the word out. So I am just so proud of the things that I've accomplished and things like that. So meet new people, and it's just been a great joy.
We're very proud of you too, and very grateful you're on our show. I wanted to mention that you and I wanted to share this with the viewers. You and I knew each other. We both sang for the choir at the Sunshine Cathedral, and we didn't know this when you contacted us. And then when I looked at your pictures, I'm like, she seems very familiar to me. And then I asked you, do you remember a pretty girl with long curly hair who used to sing soprano? And then you said yes, and it was like, wow, what a small world, which I thought was pretty amazing. So been a lot of changes. No longer the beautiful curly hair. I got facial hair. I can't sing soprano anymore for the life of me, but
well, he can if I kick him in the crotch.
All right, there we go. All right, so we're going to start with the Q&A part of the show now that as a veteran,
well, I'm still singing bass, and the biggest reason for that is the Agent Orange that I had in Vietnam, and it just kind of took its toll on the neurological part of my body. And of course, as I get older, things begin a lot more sensitive. And my voice is one of them that now is I still have trouble with some of my speech. So, but I get around, and I manage to just stay positive, and thank goodness for meeting new friends like you and Joe and the rest of the crowd. And I just really, really enjoy it. So
we're very glad to have you. So we're going to start with the Q&A section of the show. As a veteran and transgender woman, having served our country. Okay, I think you went too far there.
Way too far.
And served in the Navy for 22 years. You did it again. Okay.
Okay, there we go.
22 years. Can you explain to our viewers your experience in having things change since then?
Well, in the beginning, when I first went in at the age of 18 or 17, from 17 until 19, when things really, I was forced to have oral copulation. Everything was so negative. And being brought up in a household where I was so naive and everything was so negative that it was just, I really didn't know which way to go. And then when all the negative things began to happen, such as being raped and left for dead and all that, I just kind of curled up in a corner and stayed really secluded. And all the name calling and the complaints and stuff, back then you couldn't say nothing because they would threaten you or cause you to get out of the service or whatever. And I didn't want that. So I just kind of stayed secluded. And now, the difference now is now that Don't Ask, Don't Tell is over with, the girls and guys can be themselves and be more open and actually meet more people and be able to share their stories. And that's a big thing about being able to share your story is to somebody else that doesn't understand. Is now, if they want to understand, they will. But otherwise, they're not going to. They're just they'll just walk off or do whatever. But I find out now that after these last 15 years or so, and the last 5 years I was in the service, and all through the Secret Corps and everything, that people was the military was the military. There was all one way. It was all their way. You had no life of your own. And so, but now people do have a life of their own. And they're so much better educational wise, military wise, and being able to speak to their community and as good service people they are. And for whatever reason, there's still that bias, a certain amount of service people and political views that still say that we're all wrong for who we are. Because everybody says we're different, and we're not. We're just people. We're just people with a big heart and with lots of love. And that's all we want is lots of love.
Exactly. And we're all the same. We're all the same inside. You know, if you cut somebody, they're gonna bleed just the same as we do. So there's no difference.
And like that famous saying, we all put one pant leg one at a time.
That too.
You know.
Speak for yourself, Mark.
Well, you know, that's my baby. What can I say? LeAnna, how did you cope with the ridicule, and can you tell us about the event that happened at age 19?
Well, the ridicule, like I said, I just kind of, after the first time I was forced to do oral copulation on one of the first class petty officers, he told me if I said anything, he'd have me kicked out. Well, needless to say, I didn't do that. And so I never said a word to anybody because I was just 18 years old. And then I went all over on that ship that I was on. And then I went to Philadelphia to put a brand new ship in commission. And it was in May of 1957. And I went on Liberty. And in fact, I had a date that night. And we went to the show, and I had a brand new watch and a brand new uniform and my dress blues and a brand new wallet. And I had about $2 left. I was only making $150 a month back then. And so I didn't have much money. Well, 3 guys came along, and 2 of them were in uniform. And they asked me if I wanted to ride back to the base. I said, sure. So I climbed in the back seat, and that was the last thing I remember until I woke up at the end of the runway, stark naked, been raped probably 2 or 3 times, no clothes, no wallet, no nothing. My total face was beaten to a pulp, and I walked across the runway, and some workers with one of the female workers that was out inspecting the runway seen me and said, "Oh my God." And that was the only thing I remember. That was the last thing I remember. Well, come to find out a month later, after the FBI started the case, it turned out to be they had killed the two sailors for their uniforms. They had stuck up several robberies in liquor stores, robbed several taxi cab drivers, killed one, and it told me I was just very, very lucky, which I did have major contusions and 3 cracked ribs. And needless to say, my neurological system on my right side is still somewhat scarred. But nevertheless, that was a real rude awakening for me. And so I made sure that I never, very seldom left the ship. And that was really bad because I was really teased a lot in the service about being prissy and all these sort of things. And so I just kept to myself. And I don't have to do that anymore.
No.
And
I'm so sorry you had to deal with that situation. I mean, that no one should ever have to go through that. But thank God you're alive, you're well, and you're with us, and you're an important person in this world, and you've done a lot of good, and we thank you.
Definitely.
You were part of a film called Out Late, which tells about a generation that had to be stealth and didn't start living their lives till very late in life. How did this opportunity come about? And tell us a little bit about the film before we actually put on the trailer. How did this all come about?
I was going to Sunshine Cathedral at the time, and I believe it was Kathy Bishop that got a phone call, or somebody got a phone call anyway, and told me that these people wanted to talk to a transgender person over 60. And I said, sure. So they approached me at the house I was living on Anderson at the time, and we sat down and talked, and they told me all the ins and outs, and it was spread over 10 days. They were actually in Fort Lauderdale for 10 days, and they started filming everything. And the reason that they did this was to show people, because they really wanted to get the word out to the older group and mothers and fathers and grandmas and grandpas that we are just ordinary people. Now, whether it be male to female or female to male, it didn't make any difference. So they began telling me, I mean, I was in a swimsuit, I was down at Fort Lauderdale Beach, I was down at the pier, I was over at the Forum Theater. I mean, we were all over Fort Lauderdale. They did my hair and all that stuff, which was, for me, was just an absolute blast. Makeovers and all the frilly stuff and stuff like that. It was just so much fun, and that was the big reason that I did that. And they said it was going to come out in about a year afterwards. Well, it didn't happen, and the reason for that was that they got tied up. Forever Films got tied up in legal battle, and they wound up suing these people, and they had gone to several film festivals and this sort of thing, but they couldn't release it to any of us that were in the movie. So we just told them, and 5 years later, I finally got a copy in the mail, and it was just, and it's been really a joy to be able to show this trailer or this film to other people, because now a lot of people have watched it and they just love it, because the oldest person in there is 88, and so she, Ken and the other girls, 2 lesbian couples, and of course I was the only transgender, so I was very fortunate in that manner. So, but it was a great joy to do, and I had a lot of fun doing it. little frustration on as to when we were going to get it, because a lot of people wanted to see it, and some of those people aren't around anymore. So
well, we have a short clip, and because there was two different clips, and I took the one with the more upbeaty music, and I just think the whole trailer is very, very interesting, and it's speaking of a generation that had to go through so much. I mean, we think we have it bad now, but back then it was even worse because you couldn't be yourself. I mean, even just the word gay itself was a major taboo, and I think we've come a long, long way. So, Joe, whenever you get a chance, you could go ahead and
roll the trailer.
Roll the trailer for us.
And Simpsons catalog had all these adorable men in underwear. I couldn't keep my eyes off them.
The first 60 years of my life, I lived as a man.
I was very, very friendly with two gals. We would have sleepovers, and I would be in the middle, and I would be feeling the other gal up. But in those days, you just did not come out.
The town I grew up in was relatively conservative.
Traditionally, gays have stayed in the closet. You know, it just made life easier.
When everything's in pieces.
We were perceived as a happily married couple, there's no doubt about that.
I love my family. I didn't want to hurt their feelings. They were too precious to me.
They wanted to come out when they were 10, and they didn't come out till they were 60.
This is the moment. This is
having a woman's body makes me complete and whole.
My husband's passed away, and I'm free, white, and way over 21, and that did it. That just absolutely did it.
This is the moment. This is the moment. Everything is changing.
I wish I'd told my mother so many years earlier, because we had such a wonderful relationship after that.
What do I want out of life? The most important thing in my life is just to be who I am.
Everything is changing for the better now.
And I get goosebumps with that because
I was going to say that.
It's, you know, it's never too late, and people should be able to live their truth. You know, and too many people in the other generation had to live a lie because that was what was expected of them, and it's not right. It's not right. And I wish all these religious groups and all these other groups would realize that everyone needs to be themselves to be happy.
Exactly.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. LeAnna, many members of the GLBT community have had to face their demons, have had failed marriages, and many have had the wonderful gift of having children. Tell us about your experience.
My experience over the years, while I was in the service, of course, I was married twice, and the second one I was married to 16 and a half years with Barbara, and I had the great joy of having a son. And of course, I really thought that bringing another person into the world, somebody that I really truly loved and everything, would make a whole difference in my community and things around me. And it was the furthest from the truth. So I began to find out as I go along that my ex-wife was cheating on me with 7 different men, and my son was growing up in a household where they had marijuana and dope and this sort of thing. And I did my best according to the standards of living that I lived by for so many years in the military, was to be a good citizen and honor and loyalty to people and that are around you. And it just turned out to be a total disaster. So my advice to people nowadays would be the biggest thing is to listen to your children. And that's a big word, listen. everybody don't try to figure out why or when or where or whatever. And while I was also growing, I had an opportunity to be a private investigator. And I learned these 6 words, and it's so, so true. And I put it in a circle in a PowerPoint that I did. And if you try to figure out who and what and when and where and why and how, any one of those things, or all of them, or half of them, or 4 out of 6, or 2 out of 6, or whatever that are very, very positive, is to take the ones that you know and build on them. And then you can build the rest of it. It's like the wheels of a wagon. All those 6 spokes all have little other spokes. And you have to keep all of them together. And that's the only way you're going to be able to survive and continue to grow and be able to share those things with other people. But one of the biggest faults I had when I started was I didn't listen, because I had an idea and I wanted to get it out there. So now I would much prefer to listen first and then answer questions later if they're asked. Otherwise, just move on, be positive, and have a very happy life. And that's what I've done.
Wonderful.
Excellent.
You had a sex reassignment surgery at age 60. That must have been extremely challenging. How was that for you?
I left Fort Lauderdale by myself, and because I sold my trailer in California, and I said to myself, if I ever got my hands on enough money that I'd be able to finance, of course, I researched it so far, right down to the last chromosome in the cell in the female body, that I wanted to know exactly what I was getting into. And that's what I did. And so I took that money and I went to Thailand and had the surgery. And it was, in the very beginning, it was really a great joy, because when I woke up the next day, I asked the doctor, I said, can I? And he said, of course you can. I said, well, how much? He said, well, how much do you want? And we left it at that. And so it's just been a great joy. It was difficult in the beginning. It was uncomfortable. But just the first maybe 10 days or so, I was uncomfortable, but I did what I was supposed to do, and went and seen checkups and this sort of thing like I was supposed to. And since I was 60, it's just been a great joy since then, and it's gotten better and better and better. So, awesome. Now the old saying goes, the older you get, the better it gets. Well, that's true.
It's good to hear.
So that's actually a true statement.
Yes. It actually
not just an old lifestyle.
Say it again?
I think you got a lot to look forward to.
Yes, we do.
Yes, definitely. You have been a strong leader in our community. Share with our viewers what has been the most rewarding of all your advocacy work.
The most rewarding advocacy thing that I've done was to start my transgender teaching and my Stop Hate Now program that I did while I was in Florida, and was to be able to take all that information of clinical psychologists and put it all together in one simple, in very simple terms, and be able to show kids and adults and people, families that don't understand and this sort of thing, that it's not the end to be able to just take one little part and change it into something very positive and continue to grow. And so for me, that's been the most rewarding thing that I have ever done since I started all my transition many, many years ago.
It's wonderful. I can see it in your face, and you sent me a couple of pictures of you and your beautiful lady. I want to be able to share this with the viewers.
Yeah, that's her.
Yeah, like I said, a picture is worth 1,000 words, and you both look extremely happy. And look at that. That's, it's amazing. And you want to tell us a little bit about her, Jamie?
Jamie and I met online, and we just started chatting. And of course, over the years, I started my own trucking business, my own bus business. I had 3 buses and 5 trucks and 2 limousines. And it was very, very hard during the times that I had that business to try to keep things going. Well, Jamie had a trucking business as well. And so our paths crossed so many times that we got to talking online and on the phone and what have you, that we were actually in the same place at the same time and didn't even know it. So it was, and I had a free plane ticket coming, and I thought to myself, well, by this time I had really learned about my transition and about where my life was somewhat going, and it was getting better all the time, and I learned not to have expectations in people. So I took the plane ticket and called Jamie up, and she just got back from Canada a couple of months before that, and we got together and talked, and I was going to be here a week, and I wound up changing my plane ticket to 2 weeks, and then I wound up 3 weeks, and it was going on the 4th week, and Jamie and I talked, and she said, well, how much trouble would it be to go back and get all your stuff? And I said, no trouble at all. And because I really didn't have anything in South Florida, and besides that, the most thing I wanted out of life was just somebody to love and be honest with and care for, and in the best way that I knew how. Well, it's turned out to be extremely positive. And that picture you've seen with the wedding picture was 5 years ago, and we've been together 6. And I always wanted to get married in a white dress. Well, it just so happened Jamie had 2 white dresses in the closet, and we took them down and got them molded. And off to Las Vegas we went, and found a nice little chapel I had found online and talked with, and this sort of thing. Not many people showed up as we wanted, but it was actually a real nice little wedding. We had a little cake, and a sugar-free cake because I'm diabetic, and that sort of thing. So it's just, she's just been an absolute sweetheart. And we're totally honest with each other, and we're very caring for other people. And, when somebody needs an extra buck or two, and now that I have a little bit of savings, thank goodness Uncle Sam. And the only time I can say thank you.
Right. So in fact, the message here is, people, they work and collect stuff, and they think the more stuff they have, the happier they're going to be. In the actual fact, happiness starts when you finally find that soulmate, that twin soul, that person you love and loves you back. And I believe that is our main reason to be here on this earth, is to find that special someone and love one another, as well as to love everyone, because that's the key. So it's not about how much you have, but how much love you have in your heart to give to another and the other to give back to you. And
Well,
you obviously,
absolutely, Mark. As I spoke in my speech, I said, it's not about gender. It's not about identity. It's not about anything. It's not about what you have physically. It's what you have in your heart and in your mind. And, if those things are very positive, then the rest of it's going to come out okay if you're willing to meet everybody halfway. You don't have to live somebody else's life, just live your own.
Right.
Exactly. Well,
definitely.
Let me ask you one.
Okay, go ahead.
I have one question. If you could do this all over again, LeAnna, would you do it?
Absolutely. All I had done it when I was 12.
So that's a little young.
I concur. I would have done the same thing.
I think everything happens the way it should happen. We always want things a little faster, a little earlier. I believe everything in our life has its timing, and when it's time, it's time. And before that, it wasn't time, and that's the way it goes.
Yeah, exactly. I used to try to hurry things up and make it go faster because I was 6 years old, and I thought that time span between the age of 60 and 0 was gonna get away from me. All those feelings I had pinned up inside of me as a little girl, and making paper dolls when I was young, and playing with jacks and playing with the girls on the playground, and all those things. I thought all that was going to get away from me. Well, it didn't. The great thing about it is I've been able to share that story and be very positive about it, and other people take for what it is and be able to share with other people. And it's just been a great joy to be able to go to the veterans parades and that sort of thing. To be able to show my uniform off has just been one of the greatest joys of my life. And
everything happened in the time that it was supposed to. You made a documentary, or were part of a documentary, which should be released anytime soon, I believe. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
I really don't know. We haven't had contact with her for well over a year. We have the rough draft here, and if you would like that, I'd be glad to mail it to you. It's something I wish she would really follow through with, because she's a great journalist, and she's able to take things, and there's lots and lots of pictures of Jamie and I, and just I wish she'd really finish it, because it is a great story.
Yeah.
Well, I'm sure she will. Like I said, everything, sometimes people wait. I know I've been in several documentaries that took a while to come out, but everything in due time. It's not the way we want it, but the way something higher than us wants it.
Well, it was like the LA film. I thought it was going to be out the following year, and it was almost 6 years later.
Wow. Well, so what is next for the fabulous LeAnna?
What's next?
Yeah.
Just to be happy, like I am now, and be able to travel and do things. And Jamie, she lost her wife at, when she was 40 years ago, and she was married 40 years rather. And so for us, it's just to take all those niggly things that we had behind us, the trucking business and all of that kind of stuff, and just be able to enjoy what we have left. And that's what we're doing.
And that's all we have. The past is gone. Tomorrow we don't know. All we have is the now. We must enjoy the now and live life to the fullest, because we don't know what tomorrow brings.
Exactly.
We've enjoyed having you on the show immensely, and we thank you so much for being part of Transsexual Radio family.
Joe, did you have any questions for LeAnna?
No, I've just been mesmerized this whole entire interview. It's such an interesting story you have, LeAnna.
Well, thank you, Joan. You know, there's a lot of in-between stuff that, you know, I could sit and talk about the motivation and the actual down-to-earth feelings that you had at that particular moment, because it's something you had. For example, the night we got hit in Vietnam, and I got 2 Purple Hearts over a piece of shrapnel. And it's a funny story now, but I got 2 pieces of shrapnel in my butt, and so I had the wrong end going the wrong way, and for something, and it's funny now, and I'm able to share those little stories and little things and things like that. So if anybody or anyone, anywhere, anytime would like plenty of information, I'll be more than happy to.
Well, LeAnna, if you have a piece of shrapnel in your bottom, do you have problems getting through TSA at the airport?
No, but I do with my hip, because it's metal.
Really? Do they give you a hard time with that?
Set it off every time.
Does it really? Do they give you a hard time about it?
They did it first, right after I had my transgender, and because I broke my hip before I had my surgery.
Oh,
and
wow.
after I had my surgery and I came back and I went through TSA, I was there a good hour and a half before they finally let me go, and I had all the ID and everything. There is no more Donald Darrell Alford. And one of those stories that I would like to share with you is that you've seen in that first part of the video what I look like as a man. Well, that was the last day, and we buried Donald. And I laid down, they put roses on me, and all the girls gathered around me and said little things, and it was all I could do to keep them cracking up. But we actually buried Donald many years ago.
Well, thank you so much, LeAnna. It was a pleasure to have you here and for you to share your stories. You're a wonderful person and a great soul.
Yes, and we thank you from the bottom of our hearts, not only for being here today, but all you've done for our country and all you've done to educate the LGBT community on trans issue and on just being people. So
Well,
thank you so
good
much.
to meet all of you and meet more new friends. And now Joe, now you and Jess. And I'm just delighted.
Thank you so much again.
Well, we'll be talking to you soon, LeAnna.
Okay, sweetheart.
Have a good evening and a great holiday.
Give kisses to Jamie for us, too. Merry Christmas and Happy New Year.
Merry Christmas. Okay, so we're going to wrap it up. And ladies, don't forget to send us your essay or videos to win your very own pair of Gold Seal breast forms. Visit their website at www.thebreastformstore.com, www.thebreastformstore.com, and check out all their great merchandise for all of your cross-dressing and transgender needs.
Well, the prophecy came and went. We are still alive.
The world didn't explode.
Didn't end. I thought it was really going to end, but it didn't. I think the only changes we will see must come from within. No one will be coming. We are the ones we have been waiting for. On that note, I'm going to end the show with a track of one of my songs on Enslave. That you can purchase it on iTunes or CD Baby. Did you want to say something, dear?
No, yes.
Yes. Okay.
No, I forgot. Go ahead, finish.
See what I live with? Blonde moments, hormonal ups and downs.
Oh, whatever. And
Think again.
Right.
You don't remember what you had to say?
Who would like to see a show where I knock him out?
I'm sure. Or about what would I knock her out?
Please send us your email at transitionradioshow@gmail.com.
You would know what to do without me. I have to remind you to flush. No. Anyway.
Yeah, right. And you leave the seat up, so bite me.
I'm not the one that has the The ding dong ding.
Oh, whatever.
Ding. Anyway, thank you guys so much. You know how much we love you, but remember to love yourself too. Thank you, LeAnna. Thank you, Joe. And we're gonna end the show with "No One Will Be Coming."
No, they won't.
Stop, look and listen. Lay still for just a while. Your hearts will keep on ticking. The world's about to change. No man is an island. Your prayers will not be heard. It's time you learn the truth now. Don't rely on the man upstairs. Children, I gave you the wisdom and gave you the knowledge to conquer the earth. What have you done? You destroyed the forest, created pollution, and damaged the earth. My children, it's time for the rapture. A change will be coming that would alter it all. Stop believing in me. Start doing for yourselves. No one will be coming to save you from me. Yeah. It's time you learn the truth now. Are spiritual beings encased inside these bodies. Experimental breed. We came from another planet and altered all your genes. Created a slave nation, a perfect species. Now go and free yourselves now. Evolve as it was meant to be. Don't let anyone stop you. Not your hatred or your greed. Evolve, my precious children. Be that you are meant to be. Yeah. My children, I gave you the wisdom and gave you the knowledge to conquer this earth.